Well, YouTube, according to Spiky Dash, this episode is loaded. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast on February 21st, 2018, and we are live. Spiky Dash here with you. This episode has been a long time coming. I know I've been a long time away. I apologize for that. I was going to do this episode in the middle of the month in mid-February, but then I got hit with my mom being on vacation for a week with the staycation, so I had to take care of that. So it was a long time away, but I'm back at home base, back now getting in the swing of things in terms of streaming, starting with this episode. Tracking the Madness will be back next week with another stream. So we're slowly getting back into the swing of things here as we go toward the end of February and into March. And March and April, of course, will be two really big months. March, of course, with the NCAA tournament coming up, going into April, and then Winnie City PonyCon in April. So a lot coming up there, but a lot to talk about on this episode tonight, because a lot has happened over this last month since I've done that did episode 13 back in January. A lot has happened. A lot has transpired. I have a lot of thoughts on things to talk about tonight. So what are you going to hear tonight? Well, we've got updates. Speaking of Winnie City 18, got a couple of updates on that I can actually share in this episode. We have a release date for season 8 of MLP Friendship is Magic. So going to talk about that a little bit. Give you guys a couple updates on what I was going through, the circumstances I was talking about in January where we're struggling a bit with some difficult situations. Give you guys a couple updates on that as well. Recapping the staycation. Just going to give you guys a rundown of kind of what happened during that when Mom was on vacation, a couple highlights that happened there. And then talking about sports a little bit more, talking about the NFL season coming to a close and wrapping up with that. Share my thoughts on the Pro Bowl this year, and then a little bit of thoughts on Super Bowl as well. The NHL recently had its All-Star game, and the big event from that, of course, at least for me, was something else it took from 2 years ago. Nashville was the Mascot Showdown. Share my thoughts on that a little bit. And then finally, I would be remiss if I didn't end talking about the Colts, my hometown or home state, I should say, football team, talking about their wild coaching search, that situation, how it went down, my thoughts on it. And then I'm going to do one more little teaser at the end. Not going to spoil it now, but talk one more. No, it's not drinking a gallon of apple cider again. I promise. It's not doing that. No. Just one more little teaser at the end. I'm not going to say anything on it yet, but just one more tease at the end that you want to stay tuned for. So let us first talk about Winnie City PonyCon 18 and some updates for you guys. With me, now literally diving into sponsorship this year for the first time ever, like I've said many times before on this show, that con is the reason why this show now even exists. That experience, my first experience ever last year, inspired me to kind of get more involved in the fandom so much, with not just watching the show, but, being more of a part of it, doing this show, talking about the episodes and really showing my appreciation for the fandom itself and really being a part of it. And so that's why, being able to doing what I did to get to the sponsorship level was not easy. Like I said, I had to set aside money from paychecks for like 4 months. I had to, sit on that and make sure that really nothing devastating happened to offset that. So just to even get to the sponsorship level. And that's been exciting enough. The hardest part of it, though, I'm going to be honest, has been because we have our Facebook group that's just for us, and we know things before the public does. That's been the hard thing. Keeping secrets has been the hardest thing of being a sponsor. The perks are going to be great. I look forward, of course, to the perks, but keeping the secrets has been the hardest part because we find out guests of honor before you guys do. We find out community guests, and we take part in things before you guys do. So it's been kind of hard. But here's the thing. Now, from what I can gather, all the guests of honor that we're going to have at Winnie City have been announced. We have 6. Unless things go through the roof, or we can maybe afford to get one more. We've announced 6 at the moment. The content out 6 at the moment. So now I can share my excitement. I can share my excitement for each one and talk to you guys about who Winnie City is going to get. So this is really exciting. I mentioned Kelly Sheridan and my excitement that Starlight's voice is going to be there. I was like, when I found out about that, I was like, ugh, because she was one of the ones that I voted for in our poll, and I was just so overwhelmed with excitement. Obviously, she's going to be my favorite one being there. She's going to get the loudest response from me because, like I said, I did a complete 360 with her character over the course of season 7. I thought I would never like Starlight, and as the season progressed, she just complete reversal in my mind. So I will definitely hope to be getting a picture and autograph with Kelly Sheridan. Andrea Libman is going to be there. Oh my gosh! When I heard that, when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, this one's huge because, of course, she is the voice of both Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy. And actually, she has been to Winnie City before. She was actually at the first Winnie City, the very first one, 2 years ago in 2016. So before I attended last year. So I definitely also want to get a picture and autograph with her because she is one of the big main voices of the show. Ian Hanlon is going to be there for his first convention of any kind, which is so cool because his character Sunburst, literally pun intended, burst onto the scene last season in season 7 as the childhood friend of Starlight Glimmer. And so another great character. Definitely want to get a pick and autograph with him. That would, because his first con experience. Love his character. I love that connection that his character and Starlight have. I'm sure many in the fandom have shipped it already. Believe me, there's a lot of pictures on Twitter of those two together. But I really liked his character. He was awesome in the season finale in Shadow Play, so I liked that. So really like his character. Ingrid Nelson is also going to be there. She is the voice of the Pie Sisters. Maud, Marble, Limestone, who you saw in the Heartwarming episode. Heartbreakers, the Heartbreaker episode. I got to think which one of Christmas it was, or Heartwarming. But she does all those voices. Maud, of course, are more iconic because Maud's in more episodes, but she also did, the other Pie Sisters as well. So all the Pies are going to be there. So that's going to be so cool. I'll probably get both for her too because she's a pretty integral character. The only two that I'm really not that excited about because I'm really not into I'm more interested in the actual voice actors, actresses. I'm not much into the back kind of behind the scenes stuff or the comic work. Brenda Hickey's going to be there. She's a comic artist. A lot of people also follow the comic series as well because some of the things from that eventually enter into the show, so it's somewhat canon. Kind of like Equestria Girls too, but I'm not too big into the comic series. I mean, Tony Fleeks was there last year, but I wasn't too thrilled about. I wasn't overly excited, over the moon to see him. So, I'm not really big into that. And the other choice. And it's the only choice I disagree with because if you guys follow the show enough, you know why. M.A. Larson's going to be there, and I'm not too thrilled about that because if you remember my take on Fame and Misfortune, yeah, the bitter taste that left in my mouth, you know why. They had GM Barrow last year, and she was a great person to be there last year because she does the Daring Do episodes, which I love. But not on board with that one. I will not be thrilled to see M.A. Larson, unfortunately. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, gosh, no. Ugh, really? You got to put up with him? But whatever. Not on board with that. So that's my rankings, I guess, if you will, of the guests of honor. Community guests are also slowly being announced. I think they've announced 8 already. And then eventually, hopefully by the end of the month, if not sooner, we'll know panelists, we'll know musicians as well. The theme, of course, this year is very cool. It's kind of the old Chicago, so like the 20s, 30s era style. So that'll be really neat to see how they tie in that with the convention as well. So again, if you want to keep up with who's been announced, you check out the current check out the current lineup. Register your badge if you haven't yet already, or find out more about the eventual announcement of the guests. Go to winniecity.com. Go to the website. Real easy to find. It used to be winniecityponycon.com, but now they shortened it, so it's just winniecity.com. So again, you can register there, find out about the information. I think we got the guests, panelists, anything else being announced. Their Facebook page, the general Facebook page, the general Twitter account. They have that as well. You can follow as well. So just keep in tune. It's going to be. If it was like anything like last year, for my experience last year, and I know I'm saying that from a sponsor perspective this year, because last year I was going in blind, didn't know what to expect, first time ever. This year, now that I know kind of what to expect from a general perspective, but now with this new theme and this new group and everything, I hope it will be just as good as last year, if not better. So I'm really hoping for big things, especially with this unique theme. So yeah, I'm pumped. So, and honestly, the last few hours, 24 hours ago, this time last night was just a whirlwind for me, and I'll explain why. Like I mentioned in the open, my goal for this year was to at least get to sponsorship level for myself and my 2 friends, Nate and Sarah. You've seen them before on previous shows. And again, I saved so much money just to get to the Earth level. But recently, an opportunity presented itself for me to upgrade my level, potentially. One of the sponsors was actually selling her badge. It was actually at Pegasus level, which is the second highest level of sponsorship, because she couldn't make it. Well, I didn't even know about this conversation until Nate calls me and says, hey, are you seeing what's going on Facebook in the sponsor group? And I said, no. And he said, yeah, there's someone wanting to upgrade their badge. And Nate, of course, has the great presence of mind even think of me, which I very much appreciated. And he said, if after all that you've done for us, after all that you have done to save up this money to pay for the badges for all of us, pay for the hotel for all of us, I think you should receive a blessing here. I think you should take advantage of this. I think you should reach out to her and see what she says. And I jumped at the chance to, and so I did. And I was hesitant at first because she posted that, okay, well, we agree that if you've already bought a badge, you can pay the difference. But here's the thing: I don't want it to go under $400 because it's an exclusive. It's just a very high end badge, and I understood that. But I reached out to her and I said, well, that's a bummer, because the difference between what I've paid and what you're willing to offer is $325. I know it's not quite $400, but it's close. Are you willing to consider that? And she said at first, she was like, I really don't want to. At first, she was very hesitant, but then she said, and I said, well, I don't want to be, if it puts you in a worse situation, if it puts you in any more debt, if it strains you, I don't want to be the person to do that, because that would go against my moral standing. I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to be, the one to hurt somebody, at that expense. So I said, I wish you luck in your search, and I thought that would be the end of it. But then she messaged me and says, well, if no one reaches out to me, though, by April, then it's yours. So at least, she was still considering it. Turn the page later to the very next day before I initiated this, this was 2 nights ago when I first heard about it, and then it was the very next night, the next day. So this was yesterday. So the first thing I heard about it was 2 days ago. Then it happened last night. I see her message in the group again, and she's supposedly talking to me and says, "Are you willing to do the 325? Are you willing to pay it and take the step up?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm very much wanting to do this. I'm very much interested because Nate reached out to me, and I want to make this happen. If you're willing to make this happen." And she said, "Well, I'm willing to do it because if we can make this work out, because I'm reaching out to Charlie. I'm talking with him, and he wants me, and he wants you to message him." And I said, "Okay, no problem." I reached out to Charlie, the head of the con, and he then said, "Well, whatever you two agree to is totally fine by me." So we agreed to our terms, and then we worked out a way for me to send the money to her, and it was done. And Charlie now is taking care of the rest. So yeah, I got a major upgrade. And I don't know if that is, a blessing. I don't know if that is just the opportunity just presents itself and you have to jump on it. Again, thankful that Nate alerted me to that, because otherwise I would have had no idea that opportunity was out there. I was also thankful that I had the funds at the time to even do that, because I did just get a nice paycheck from work recently. It all happened so fast. I'm talking to her on Messenger. I'm talking to Charlie on Messenger at the same time. As this is both going on, I'm looking at 2 conversations, one on my phone, one on the computer. Like, okay, type to you. Okay, now type to Charlie. Okay, back and forth. It happened so fast, you guys. It was just so lightning fast. It was dash fast, literally. It was happening that fast. And after it was all done and the PayPal was sent and Charlie said, she said, "Charlie, take care of the rest," I just leaned back in my chair and thought to myself, wow, that just happened. I mean, I was just completely overwhelmed. So I'm now at the second highest sponsor level. And, I don't know in the end what that's going to entail. Nate and Sarah said that they are fine staying at the Earth level. They wanted me to have this opportunity, and I cannot thank them enough for Nate for reaching out to me and letting me know about this. I am humbled. I'm humbled beyond belief. I mean, it's just, I can't thank him enough. I mean, that just shows right there what our friendship has meant to each other through, gosh, now 24 years of knowing each other since we were in 3rd grade, since we were 8 years old. We weren't as tight in elementary school as we are now. But over time, over the years, as we, were in more classes together and just through high school and all of that, and then through poker, and then through just the same things that we had in common, sporting events, whatever, going to Florida together. It grew, and that's what friendships do. They grow over time. The more you spend time with your close-knit circle of friends, and that is what's happened with Nate and I. And now that Nate has found a wife and they're together, and even the fact that Sarah opened up to me so much and respects me as his best friend, she actually calls me a big brother because I'm that tight with Nate, and I respect her and their marriage together. And it was a pleasure for me to be the best man at Nate's wedding. And I'm blown away every single day. Every time I talk to either one of them, I'm thankful to have them in my life. So I can't say thank you to them enough for reaching out to me and letting me know of that opportunity. It's going to be, like I said, con's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And it only makes me that much more excited for April. It's just, I cannot wait. I'm just so ready for it to get here. And we're now less than 2 months away. And I'm just so excited. So thank you again to Nate. Thank you to, I think Morgan is her name. Thank you so much, Morgan, for letting me do that. Thank you to Charlie for getting it done, for agreeing to everything. Thank you for letting me do that. It means so much to me. And I will, like I said, I didn't. Now it's like, okay, now I'm at the second highest level. I thought being your sponsor was cool enough. Now I'm at the second highest level, and now I get more perks. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna get a lot of stuff back from con this year. So I'm really excited. I'm much looking forward to this, and I cannot wait. All right, so that being said, with that excitement for Winnie City, let's talk a little more about Pony for a little bit here. We have a release date for Season 8. Yes, we finally do. And I know, again, Season 8 has been, all kinds of messed up with the leaks and that happening and, stuff like that and, angry. But at least we have a premiere date now. It has been revealed. It will be on Saturday, March 24th, which is really, if you think about it, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. 5 weeks from Saturday. So it's going to be here before we know it. So it is going to be, and I think it's going to be at 11:30. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but I think it's 11:30 in Discovery Family is when the premiere is. So very, very exciting. Cannot wait for that. Obviously, cannot wait to watch episodes again. But here's the thing, and one of my friends on Twitter, my fellow Bronies on Twitter, I think it's Taylor McCardle, pointed this out today. He said, there's more now being posted of Season 8, more info, more screenshots, more being out there. And he says, well, me and Charlie, we're staying true to our word, and we're going to wait till Season 8 airs. We're going to wait till it actually shows. But here's the thing. It's becoming harder and harder to not see it. And I know I went on my big rant and said, if anyone posts shots on my feed or stuff like that, I'm going to block them. I've done that 3 times. But now it's becoming more prevalent. There's so many screenshots and info. And it's and I can't block everybody. It's hard to not see it. So I'm trying hard to stay spoiler free, but it's very difficult when you see it all the time on your Twitter feed, and it's just difficult to not see it in your mind. I saw more stuff this past couple days, and it's I don't want to see it. I don't want to know, but now it's out there, and it's okay, now what's that going to entail? So, what does this scene mean? Wait, when does that happen? It's hard. It's really hard, and I can only hope that what I do see doesn't ruin my initial experience of watching these episodes when they do start on the 24th of March. That's what I really hope for, because, I mentioned it, I'm kind of the same as Josh Scorcher, Commander Firebrand. The first experience is important to me. I don't want to be spoiled. I want that first time, live experience to really matter and mean something. So I don't like spoilers. I'm sorry. I really don't. I try to avoid them, but when people are just throwing them out there and putting them all over the internet, it's kind of hard to unsee it. So I just hope it doesn't ruin anything. All right, 3. Life situation updates for me. If you recall, back in January in episode 13, I was talking about January and one of the roughest months of my life that I've really ever had, period, in my life. It was just one thing on top of another, struggle upon struggle upon struggle. It was piling up. It was literally a month to forget. There was the trouble with my car. There was the trouble with Bedbugs. There was my brief financial hiccups. And there's troubles with my church, and which you guys know I take really seriously. But as I've said, through it all, I never lost faith that those situations would eventually rectify themselves in some way for my greater good, for myself. And I know it may seem like, I was going to say amazingly, but I know it's all God, because that's what's happened. These situations have rectified themselves. And again, as I've always felt with any trial or tribulation, which we are guaranteed to have as Christians in this world, maybe again it was just a test of all these, these tests thrown at you at once. Hey, how are you going to respond? Oh, this is going to happen to your car. Oh, you're going to get hit with this in your home. Oh, you're going to have some brief financial hiccups. Oh, this is going to happen this store is going to close. We're going to open another one. How are you going to respond? Well, my response was, again, when I talked about the valley approach or the hill approach. If you feel like you're negative and down in the valley, you're never going to get out. If you're going to be on the hill, you say, okay, I'm putting all these situations in your hands. Lead me through them. Well, that's what happened with my car. My PT Cruiser, I love my PT Cruiser. It gave me 7 to 8 years of great memories, experiences, great road trips. Gave me a great time of service. I love that car. But this winter just took its toll on it. That negative, we had many days in a row of negative temperatures this winter, like negative 10, 15 degree days. And it was just too much in the end for a car with that much age on it to handle. It was just too much. And it just took its toll. And in the end, the cost to repair was going to be worth more than the value of the car itself. But my mom finally got a new vehicle. I got her GMC Terrain, and it is amazing, you guys. It is absolutely awesome. The insurance is now transferred over to it, so that's all set. The title now is in my name, and I love its features. I love all the features of this car. It's roomier, it's bigger. It's great for road trips because now anywhere my friends and I go, when we go to PonyCon, when we go to sporting events, when we do whatever. It's great. It's roomy. It's big. The trunk's big. It's nice. It's a nice car, guys. So I'm so thankful for my mom for giving me that, and I'm thankful that situation fixed itself. The war on the Bedbugs. I thought that I had claimed victory in this one. I thought that they were gone because, again, I powdered the couch for 2 weeks. I sprayed it to high heaven. And I thought that was the end of it because I had not really seen any more live ones since then. But even after that, I would still, when I thought that it was done, I put everything back after I washed all the bedding, put the cushions back. They were still slowly popping up. I was still occasionally find them every once in a while. So I just said, you know what, at this point, okay, got to get the couch out of here. I could not let it spread throughout my house. I could not allow myself to do that. So took out the couch. That was a fun process to get that big, massive couch out of this house. Getting it through the narrow doorway, getting it out of there around the back, and then getting it into the garage. It was a pain in the butt, let me tell you. But had to be done. Got myself, when I got my big paycheck, got myself a new futon. Very comfortable for a good price. Very, very nice, very comfortable. It's memory foam. So far, no bed bugs on it. So that's the positive. And somehow they also got to my bed upstairs. I'm not sure how they did, but somehow they did. So I washed all that bedding. I cleaned the pillows, stripped them, sprayed the mattress to Kingdom Come. And I think so far since I've done that, haven't seen any since. So here's to hoping that this is finally done. There aren't any more stragglers, and they're finally gone. So hopefully that is the last of them. As I mentioned, my finances eventually they did get turned around. My my tenant got caught up with rent finally, at least from the months that he was behind. And I got some good paychecks from work, so that's looking up. And then church. I attended Faith Covenant Fellowship in Monticello for 7 years, and those were 7 great years. But I decided that a change in my Christian walk was in order. Let me say, though, that it was not the congregation itself that led to that decision. It was the leadership there. They continued to betray me. Over the past year, they broke my trust 3 different times within a year. And the first 2, it turned out to be, okay, misunderstood. Sorry we didn't communicate with you. Lack of communication. Wires got crossed. Signals got crossed. And, things didn't get said to certain people in time. And I thought, okay, totally understandable. That happens. That can happen with churches anywhere. That happens. But then, one Sunday, I was dismissed from the worship team. Reasoning? What they felt was a lack of commitment. Let me explain something. Okay? That was the final straw for me. For 7 years, whatever I asked of them, I did. Without complaint, by the way. I never complained. They wanted me to run computer in the old building. Did it. They wanted me then to assist with Kids Zone worship. Did it. Then they wanted me to be part of the worship team, sing. Did it. And enjoyed every single minute of it. Every time that I was up there, I enjoyed it. It wasn't about, just being up there. It wasn't about, being in the spotlight. It wasn't about that. Because in the end, no matter what ministry you serve in, it's about serving God. But if anyone's committed to the church or to Christianity, it's me. Apparently, their definition of commitment is a pretty high standard. Because they felt like, oh, you missed 4 times in this past month. You've missed 4 times, and we don't think you're committed enough. Okay, let's go over those reasons why I missed. One was due to weather related. We had a winter storm. The roads were junk. I have to drive 30 to 45 minutes. And that was when I still had my cruiser, which, oh, by the way, is not great in winter. Yes, let's risk my safety. One reason was due to illness, when I had a bad cold. The other 2 reasons were oversleep, because I had a late night, Saturday night, either due to working late, or having a late night out with my friends, enjoying something. I didn't know that church was about keeping score and holding people accountable for their deeds or misdeeds in this regard. Life circumstances that were out of my control that apparently a church leadership has no respect for. I cannot feel comfortable in a church that is going to keep score of my misdeeds. Now, even though I hold no grudge toward the congregation itself, and I honestly wish FCF nothing but the best in the future. I know that church is going through a expansion plan of their own. They got some big plans ahead, and I have a feeling they're going to succeed in those, and I wish them everything success in that regard, because I know that's a tight-knit group of believers. But I could no longer continue to be a part of a church whose leadership held me to such a high standard that I could not meet it. I can no longer set foot in that building and not look at those people that broke my trust, and I would either cry or I'd break down in a fit of rage, anger, bitterness. I can't do it. I can't hold myself to that anymore. I don't want to put myself through that. For their sake, for my sake, and for those people's sake. I don't want them to see me in that position, in that condition. My heart is too sore and too bruised from what the leadership has done to me. I can no longer go back there. I can't. Not anymore. The first time, okay, misunderstanding, whatever. Second time, okay, this is starting to become a problem. I'm going to explore another option. I'm going to go with my friend Matt to his church for a week, see how I like that. And then they reached out to me and wondered what was going on. Okay, misunderstanding, miscommunication, whatever. This This is somebody that I trusted having to tell me that, oh, we've met and we don't think you're committed enough. That's like taking the biggest hammer you can find and aiming it right at my heart and shattered. That's how you left me. Shattered. But you know what? Even in the midst of that shattering, even in the midst of all that happening, God had a different plan. I knew it. I had a feeling. Because on that same day that happened, I had read a sermon earlier that morning on sermons.com. And actually, the reason I was reading it was because of what happened with the Toon Critic situation in the fandom. Surviving the hurt from others. I read that morning on sermons.org or sermons.com, I'm sorry, sermons.com because the Toon Critic situation was still in my mind. Not knowing that would happen later when I got that text. It wasn't coincidence. It was God. It was God closing one door for me and opening up another. Oh, I know why you're reading this. I know the real reason. You might think it's because, that in your mind, you're reading it because of what happened to the fandom. But in my mind, which is greater than your mind, you're reading it for a different reason. I've got a new plan for you and a new place. Last Sunday, I began the newest chapter of my Christian walk. I attended Revolution Community Church here in my hometown of Logansport, which I have been scouting from afar for a while now. I've been, touring their website. I've been viewing their Facebook page. I've been, now I found them on Twitter. I've been reading about their pastors and their people there, that what their plans, what their vision is, what their plans are for the future. They're currently in the Cass Plaza next to Aaron's, but eventually going to move into the old Staples building. They have a clear vision and big plans for the future. All I can say after my first experience there last Sunday, actually three days ago on the 18th, is wow. No dress code. None. Which worship team at FCF has one. No pressure. No burdens. No high standards. Just come as you are. Great worship. A sermon that not only contains the truth when it's given and hits hard on your heart, which is what you need to hear, but also laid back at times. Like you're having a conversation with somebody. Not as in your face as it needs to be. I mean, it is when it needs to be, but at other times it's like you're just having a conversation with Pastor Anthony. Just having a conversation with him. I firmly believe that God closed the door on FCF and said, here's Revolution. Enter through this door. This is the next step I want you to take. I feel comfortable. I feel loved. I feel respected. And I feel accepted at Revolution. I'm definitely coming back. I look forward to being a regular attendee moving forward in that church. And whatever God decides for me there, I'm going to accept. Because, as I've seen numerous times, you guys, His will and plan for my life is perfect, makes no mistakes. And I firmly believe He got me out of all these situations and made them better for me. So, I can't say enough how amazing God is. I know it's hard to transition from that, but onward we must. 4, staycation. Let's talk about the staycation and recap that for you guys. So, my mom and her longtime boyfriend, John, they recently returned from a week-long vacation. They were gone from the 9th to the 16th in Grand Cayman. They're lucky. They got to enjoy 80-degree weather while here we were dealing with snow and rain. So they went. They always seem to go at the right time. I've noticed that. They always seem to go on vacation at exactly the right time, but they did. and for the most part, pretty uneventful. Not like usually not much happens in terms of anything crazy during these vacations with my mom when I get to go to her house and house sit and take care of her dog. But but I will point out I did watch two very good movies during this time that I do want to talk about as well. If you guys also know, I'm also a big fan of nostalgic cartoons. I'm a huge fan. Grew up, of course, with a lot of these, and one that I'm very partial to and a huge fan of is Woody Woodpecker. And I watched the new movie on Netflix, and because I already see it because I saw the DVD when it came out last week. I saw it on the account. I'm like, what is this? A live action movie? When did they do this? I didn't even know that it existed. And then I did a little bit of research, and actually the movie was done in Brazil in 2017. They did it there and released it there first, and then they brought it to DVD here in the States, and then actually it won't be out for DVD in other markets until April of this year. So actually we're getting it here first. Pretty cool stuff. And I was quite impressed. It was really good. I really liked it. I was a bit leery at first because here's the thing: cartoons going into live action CGI, it can be a bit rough. Usually it's very different. It's it's not like you grew up with kind of like Pete's Dragon. But actually and again I was leery going into that too because okay they're taking the cartoon we all know and love and now doing this live action thing. I'm like, I don't know. But then I watched it and I'm like, oh, this was great. Same thing with Woody Woodpecker. I liked this. But it's smooth. It's very smooth. It's nicely done. The start is kind of fast paced at first, but then it flows better as it goes along. And the story is easy to follow. Even the human characters and everyone else were great in their own ways. The villains, spoiler alert, they're poachers. They get theirs in the end. And Woody, even in CGI form, he's still that crazy wisecracking bird he always was. And the voice actor, Eric Bauza, who's done a lot of work on different shows, did an outstanding job. He was absolutely masterclass, outstanding. Even though not as obviously compared to Mel Blanc and the original artists, they're the standard of the standard. But oh my gosh, he was just so he did an outstanding job. He did what he could and still made it sound like Woody. Still made it believable. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. This to me was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I'd gladly watch it again anytime. Great stuff. Another one that I also watch anytime. If you're looking for a good sports movie and related to sports historic events, pick up Battle of the Sexes. That's now out on DVD and Blu-ray. I mean, Emma Stone and Steve Carell are in this movie, and oh my gosh, they do a perfect job of portraying their characters, Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs, about that tennis match that just shook up the sports world, shook up the tennis world forever. Changed, the pay system, got the women tennis to be equally, compared to the men. It was just, portrayed so well done. Just so many storylines to follow throughout the film. It was outstanding. It's one of the best sports movies I've ever watched. And that's saying a lot considering how many sports movies I watched. It's not exactly Miracle, which is my favorite sports movie of all time. But it's up there. I knew about the match. I knew the history of it, but it is portrayed wonderfully in the film. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really good movie. I was very, very impressed by the job that it did. The only real wild thing that happened during the week, my mom's dog, Harley, she actually apparently must have got bored one day while it wasn't work or something, and she destroyed one of my mom's pillows. Like, just took completely off the bed, destroyed it. There were and of course the one she had to destroy had feathers in it, you guys, and it was a huge mess. I walk back there like on my day off to go to the bathroom or take a shower or something. I walk back there and I look at the bed and I'm like, it's covered in feathers. And there were feathers all on the side of the bed, feathers on the bed frame, feathers everywhere on that side. The pillow was destroyed, obviously. It was tore open. So I had a huge mess to clean up. Had to get the vacuum feathers off the carpet. I'm scooping up feathers with my hands off the bed, feathers in the trash bag, in the trash can, poof, poof, flying in my face. I think I actually swallowed a feather. I was coughing for a while. Just feathers everywhere. So thankfully, my mom has a really good sense of humor. And I think I get that from her because, I told her on the phone, she's like, okay, just clean up best you can, okay. And then she calls me after she gets back home a couple days later and says, I can't believe she did that. She must have got bored. I said, yeah, she probably did. And she's like, that's funny. So at least she can laugh about it now that it happened and actually sees it. So I'm glad that my mom actually has that sense of humor to laugh about things like that. Because I thought, honestly, she would, that she would, take that in a different way. But she at least found it funny. And the nice thing is also, when they're on vacation, they always try to bring back a few gifts, which I think is very cool that they, keep me in mind. They bring some stuff back. They got me a Margaritaville t-shirt, which is very cool because I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. And yes, Radio Margaritaville is on one of my presets on my XM in the terrain. So, and I do listen from time to time. And they also got me this necklace. And I want to show you guys this. Now I already have a cross already, but they got me this necklace, and it's either wooden or made of like porcelain or a rock, something like that. But that's really cool. So they got me that from Grand Cayman. So I found that really neat. I really like this. So again, I appreciate them very much for doing that. So that was very cool. All right, story number 5. NFL wrapping up. The NFL season coming to a close, wrapping up with its 2 kind of big premiere events at the end of the year. This is Pro Bowl, and I live tweeted about it when I watched it back. The Pro Bowl was one of the best that I have watched in a long time, and that's because the game is starting to get a lot better because it's actually starting to resemble, more like actual football. It came down to the final few plays. The NFC was dominating early. I think scored the first 17 points of the game. Was up 17-0. But then the AFC rallied back. They came back and a great comeback, and they won 24-23 after trailing in the first half. Great game. Great win by the AFC. Just great overall. Just a very fun experience and a great game to watch and a great game to tweet about. The NFL's version of the All-Star game, its All-Star game, just seems to get better every year. Like I said, it's starting to resemble actual football. There's actual hitting. There are still some fun plays involved, but it looks more like football because over the years, growing up watching it, it was boring. It was terrible. The players were hardly moving. They weren't doing anything. It was high-scoring games. It was bleh. Fans hated it, and fans let them know. They were booing. They weren't showing up. The attendance was down. It was awful. But now the players start taking it a little more seriously because there's also money on the line. Yeah, money. The winning team gets $100,000 and the losing gets $50,000 or something or some number like that. So there's money involved, and I hope that trend continues over time. I hope that it keeps getting better as time goes on. And of course, the Super Bowl had the perfect result. The Philadelphia Eagles winning their first Super Bowl title, the 41-33 win over New England. And as always, you can check out my live stream from that night. And thank you to all you, by the way, who have watched that. I'm very impressed by the number of views on that. So thank you guys for that as well. Thank you to all who watched the stream, either during the game or after. Very much appreciate that. Again, something I thought I'd try new this year. Doing the live play, the live commentary was a fun night and just fun all around. So thank you guys so much for that. But couldn't be happy with the result. The evil empire went down. So it was a perfect ending. The big question, though, concerning both those teams in the offseason, kind of looking ahead, is where's Nick Foles going to go? Obviously, the Eagles, Carson Wentz, it's his team. And as long as he comes back healthy from his knee injury, he's going to be the guy. So are the Eagles going to trade Nick Foles? Are they just going to let him, walk, free agency? Where will he end up next season? And for the Patriots, will Rob Gronkowski retire? Will he be back? He even said, I'm very much considering retirement. So where's he going to end up? Now, Bill Belichick has already said, I'm coming back next year. So he's coming back. And Tom Brady likely isn't going anywhere soon either. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But, for the most part, that's the big question mark with New England. Lots of storylines to follow, of course, in the offseason. Always is. Of course, all the coaching changes that happen, which I'll talk about here with the Colts in a little bit. So a lot to follow for next season. Story number 6. Let's talk also, speaking of All-Star games, let's talk about NHL. And even though the Pro Bowl is my favorite All-Star game right now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my second favorite, which is the NHL. The NHL All-Star game, of course, and the All-Star weekend is always going to have a special place in my heart because, of course, my experience going to Fanfare in Nashville 2 years ago. I will always have those memories with me. I will always cherish that experience with Matt going down there. It was an absolute blast, and I will never, ever forget it. So it'll always hold a special meaning to me. And the main reason I love it so much, obviously, is because of the Mascot Showdown. And you guys know, you can follow my Twitter. If you guys know how much I love mascots, big Mascot fan. I follow now 125 of them on Twitter. I love them. I'm just a huge, huge fan. And this is the thing, though. No other All-Star weekend has an event like the Mascot Showdown. Because they have the mascots come to the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star Game and what have you, but they don't have an event like this where they're actually competing against each other. So basically, you have as the mascots of the East face the mascots of the West. In these several fun events throughout the 3 days, they have dodgeball, they have a dance off, they have a fun little relay event, and then they have one final game on the Sunday before the All-Star game. They have a hockey game and usually that decides the overall champion of the events, and so it's pretty intense. And the lead up to the final is always fun because you're rooting for your favorite mascot, or you're rooting for your favorite conference, what have you. Me, I usually root for the East because with me, I have my favorites. I have my favorites from the East, my favorites from the West, but there's also a few mascots I don't like from either conference. Actually, I really don't like 2 mascots from the West and 1 from the East. So because of that, I usually root for the East because I don't really have a grudge toward most of the East than I do the West. So, but here's the thing. The only downside is the event kind of has a predictable ending because the home conference always wins. So wherever the event's held, the home conference wins and the home mascot gets MVP. So you kind of get a sense what's going to happen depending on where the All-Star game is held. This year it was in Tampa, which was awesome because I'm a huge Tampa Bay Lightning fan. So I really wanted to go, but the money didn't work out with my struggles. In January, it was kind of wasn't going to happen. So the Eastern Conference won this year for the first time since 2015 because the event was held in Columbus the first year. And that's when, Stinger's team, the East, won. So now it's 2-2 because the last 2 years with being in Nashville and Los Angeles, the Western Conference won. And of course, Nash and Bailey, the mascots of the Predators and the Kings, won MVP. But my favorite Eastern Conference mascot and my bug buddy, Thunderbug, scored the game-winning goal in overtime, got the win for the East. So that was awesome. So proud. His mascot winning the mascot games, that was cool, and I was proud of that. But that was like, so awesome. Still proud of his accomplishment. So now it's tied 2-2. Next year, the All-Star Game is being played in San Jose in 2019. So that only means that my favorite mascot in the NHL, my all-time favorite, S.J. Sharkey, is probably not going to get the win and now lead the West to victory next season. So that'll be very exciting. But speaking of the West Coast, the Pacific, in the actual game, the West Coast reigns supreme because the Pacific Division won the NHL All-Star Game for the second time in the last 3 years, amazingly. And they beat the host Atlantic Division 5-2 in the final game. And the young rookie from the Canucks, Brock Boeser, actually won the MVP. And I'll never forget in Nashville when John Scott won it. Oh, my gosh. That was such a cool moment. With him being, as part of the Coyotes and then gets traded to Montreal and then gets downgraded to St. John's, their lower affiliate. So he didn't really even have a team. But he got voted in by the fans and then scores in the game, and the fans vote him MVP. Just awesome. Loved it. Loved every minute of that. So I love this format. I love the division versus division. I love the 3-on-3 format, and I hope that remains for years to come. Cool stuff. Cool. Any All-Star weekend in the NHL is very, very cool. All right. Last big story. Story number 7. The Colts and their head coaching search. Oh, boy. I would be remiss if I did not share my thoughts on this. The Colts, man. I have been a Colts fan for pretty much the majority of my life, pretty much or close to all of it. Probably since the early 90s, 93, 94, 95, when I was about 7 to 9 years old. When my mom, got us season tickets every year down at the RCA Dome, the old Hoosier Dome, RCA Dome, and I'll never forget where we sat. We sat right next to Barbecue Heaven, and we went in those seats, and I'll never forget the best game I ever had was the year after. It was 95 season when the Colts went on to the AFC Championship game, but it was the year that prior the 49ers had gone to the Super Bowl. And no one gave the Colts a chance to beat them, and they did. And the place was just going absolutely bonkers. Like, no one wanted to leave the dome. They were just watching, just stunned, silent. And I'm just soaking it all in. Here I am, a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid, just soak this moment in like, this is amazing. I love the Colts. I love sports. This is awesome. That was like my first real awesome sports moment. So I've been through the highs, I've been through the lows in the 90s, the 2000s, and the 10s, and now. It is getting really hard, though, right now to be excited about the Colts right now. I'm sorry, it really is. But, maybe the fact the team has cleaned house a bit, maybe that'll inject some hope yet into the organization. Chuck Pagano was finally, and thank goodness mercifully, let go after this past season where the team finished 4-12. And there was no Andrew Luck, missed the whole season due to that shoulder problem and the setbacks. Jacoby Brissett was back there, but he got beat up from time to time because still of that terrible offensive line. And just disappointing football across the board, up and down. This team, owner Jim Irsay, GM Chris Ballard, they've made some questionable decisions over these past few years. They really have. And especially regarding the Andrew Luck situation with his surgically repaired shoulder. But they thought they had their man. They did. They really did. They announced shortly after the Super Bowl. They had to wait till then to make it official because the Patriots are playing the Super Bowl. But when their offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, agreed to terms to become the Colts' next head coach, the Colts then posted it on Twitter, made it official, announced a press conference. Why did I use air quotes there, though? Agreed to terms. That's because nothing was ever signed. He never actually signed a contract. And that, in the end, made the entire organization look like idiots. Because eventually, you maybe kind of knew this was coming. Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick hear about this, and they're like, oh, he might be leaving. I think we need to have a chat with him. Being the geniuses that they are, they sat down with Josh McDaniels, They spoke sweetness into his ear, sweetened his contract, so much so that he decides on the day of the press conference that morning, he says, "Ski guys, I'm going home." Went right back to New England. And you know what? In all honesty and seriousness, like, I can't blame Josh McDaniels for what he did, honestly. I can't blame him for that. He's in a great situation in New England. Great future Hall of Fame quarterback. Talent up and down the roster in New England. The defending AFC champions. They continually get there every year. And probably will be the successor when Belichick decides to retire. Why would he want to leave that? I mean, honestly, why would he want to leave that at this point? Especially go to the Colts, who don't really have much of a bright future right now. The Colts job, because after this happened, the Colts job quickly became nearly as poisonous as the Tennessee football job for a while. Uncertainty over Andrew Luck. Uncertainty over the offensive line. Uncertainty over the skill players that will still be there. Marlon Mack, who's a bust. Uncertainty over the defense. Uncertainty over injuries. Everything was an uncertainty and still is in a way. And even though the Colts did end up hiring the Eagles offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, which I think is a great hire, there's still this aura of uncertainty there. You know, Reich, Ballard, Irsay, Luck, they're all saying the right things, and that's great. You know, they're trying hard to inject this excitement, energy, positivity into the franchise, and that's great. But talk is cheap. As for me, I can't really be overly excited about the direction the Colts are going until two things happen. One, Andrew Luck actually throws a football or plays in an NFL game. And two, the Colts don't screw up the draft. If the Colts seriously follow all these mock drafts and these experts that they're throwing up, and they take Bradley Chubb, the defensive end from NC State, I will scream at my television. You thought my reaction to the Pacers' terrible draft pick, the one that I showed you to TJ Leaf, was bad? That'll be tame compared to what I do if they take Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley if they do not draft a quarterback. Luck's shoulder is still a major question mark. He still has not thrown a football. This class of quarterbacks is outstanding. Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. Take a quarterback. Then you can trade Jacoby Brissett if Luck is healthy. You can trade Jacoby Brissett for draft picks or a chance to get shore up other positions for better players. And then if Luck is in a setback, you're set. You're set. Groom the young buck to be, if Luck's healthy, groom him to be the predecessor. Or if Luck falters, if you have to put the young guy out there, okay. What could possibly be worse at this point? Ooh, better yet, let's not think that. Don't want to put anything past this idiotic organization. I want to be optimistic. I really do. But again, until those two things happen, I can't be fully on board yet. I'll support the Colts. But right now, I have to be honest when I say there still isn't a whole lot to cheer about until we see the results on the field. All right. that's the major storylines that I have in this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, this episode has been a long time coming, a lot to cram into it. And I'm very hopeful that episode 15 will be here probably in a few weeks, hopefully. That's the goal. Early to mid-March, hopefully. I know the tournament's coming up as well, but I'm still going to try to squeeze any episode in before then. If not, it'll be in late March. But shooting here for a few weeks. And again, Tracking the Madness will also be back next week, episode 3, Monday, February 26th. I wasn't going to do it on Friday, but now I have plans with my friends that day. So Monday, the 26th, shooting for 7 o'clock Eastern time on that episode. New bracket projection after the weekend. Plus, we'll do an entire breakdown of each conference, the teams that are positioned to make bids, what do they need to do to get in to ensure a bid as the conference tournaments come up. They'll be starting here, believe it or not, here pretty next week. Some of the conference tournaments get underway, including the Big Ten. So keep that in mind. We'll let you know about that. Now, I do want to mention one more thing. This is the teaser I was talking about in the open. I want to mention one more thing that I kind of been thinking about doing. I love the 3 shows that I do here on YouTube. I love what I do. I love what I do here in my other videos. I love what I do here. The stock report every football season, the Tracking the Madness for basketball, and this show right here. I love what I do. I love the support. I love the views I get. I love the subscribers that I've been getting. Thank you guys for coming on board these past few weeks. But I've also been thinking about branching out to another form of media. I'm also on Twitch. You guys might have not known that. I am on Twitch. Now, I don't have my own channel, but I occasionally will watch videos on Twitch, and I will, like the Semi-Perfect podcast that AC Race Best and the group of the reviewers do. I will occasionally join in on that and listen to the podcast. So I'm very much considering actually starting a podcast on Twitch. I've been really thinking about it here. It'll probably be here in the coming months. I'm targeting April to get it off the ground and running because, again, I want to get through the busy month of March, the busy month of April, that kind of thing. Maybe late April after everything's winded down and quieted down a bit. I want to target that. I have many passions, as I mentioned on here. I have many passions in life. But aside from My Little Pony, aside from sports, aside from life conversations, as I mentioned with the Mascot Showdown, it's one of my major passions. I like mascots. Their energy, their passion, their intensity, their community work. And over the years, as I've gone to different events with them, following them on social media, going to the All-Star Weekend, going to the Mascot Summit in Carmel last year, I developed a ton of thoughts about them, have my own thoughts on many of them, many stories, many experiences about them. So my goal is to start a Twitch podcast, and I've tentatively titled it The Fur Fanatic. That's what because I couldn't call it The Furry Fanatic because that'd be something entirely different. That'd be something entirely unrelated to mascots. Furries are different from mascots, totally different things. So The Fur Fanatic is tentatively what I'm going to be calling this podcast that I'm shooting for in April. So again, after the NCAA tournament, after Winnie City 18 are completed, I'm hoping to start that project. I have a few ideas ready for what I'm going to talk about in the first few episodes, like how I got to be a big Mascot fan, how I got it started, following him on Twitter, that kind of thing, kind of my background story on that. And then as the shows go on, I'll talk more about my personal experiences, my thoughts on my rankings of them in different leagues, who I follow on Twitter, all my thoughts on them, all kinds of neat stories. So that is what I'll be doing on Twitch, hopefully here in a couple months. So targeting that for April, after everything's winded down, after con, late April probably. So I'll keep you guys updated on that as that gets closer. But I just wanted to throw that out there and tease that in the time to come. So thank you guys again for tuning in and watching. Thank you guys so much for your views, your subscribing. Thank you so much. Again, if you liked the video, if you liked what I talked about or have any thoughts, give it a thumbs up, hit the comment box below. Thank you guys again. And I will see you guys next Monday for episode 3 of Tracking the Madness 2018. And then a couple weeks from now will be another episode of ATSD. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you all. Have a great evening, and I will see you in a few days for Tracking the Madness episode 3. Take care. God bless.